All right. So people are hopping on, which is good. Um, so we'll just good evening, friends. Welcome to the Share Report. I have a special guest today, Liz. Let her introduce herself to you.
Yeah, my brother and I have a small starting channel. We have fun on the farm and talk about some information. And I'm a dog groomer, so I show my grooming stuff.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, Liz and I, we have very similar ideologies or philosophical thinkings, and she's an avid reader. So it's like perfect person to have on today's live, which I really do lives very often. I don't do them very often. So bear with us as we go through this. But today we're going to be reviewing. I had spoken about this before. If you follow along on the Share Report here consistently, and then also on the Share Report Instagram page, you have probably heard me speak over and over and over again about the book War's a Racket. And it is by the General Smedley Butler and highly decorated gentleman. And Liz and I, we read through this book, which is very little, very thin. I'll make sure that I'll link it in the description box for y'all if you want to pick it up for yourself or to listen to it on Audible or audio or anything of that sort. But this book was highly fascinating. And one of the things that I took from it was that he was definitely not kidding about the amount of profit that goes into war. Um, he broke it all down. I'm a numbers kind of person. So when he broke it all down to the amount of money that these businesses or corporations were making off of war, I was highly amazed. So what was your take from it, Liz?
Yeah, that it was crazy the numbers that he brought out. And one thing that stood out to me was how he's a really great writer. I like his style of writing. Like it's very real. Like you can tell that he believes what he's saying. I like how he comes across like a very good writer. And what you're saying with the numbers is very true. It was surprising. And if you think about it, how long ago this was written, the imagine what it is now, the numbers.
Yes, definitely. I actually did so funny because I compared it to inflation for today, what the numbers would be today. And so DuPont, which you and I know all about that. I've seen videos about DuPont. They actually originated in France. If you all don't know, they originated in France and they did a lot of what you called ammunition, like gunpowder,
Right.
things of that sort. They brought it over to America. Do you remember which state it was? Was it an out west state or was it in the Northeast? I can't remember. For some reason, I feel like it was an out west state.
Yeah, yeah, I can't
Was it
remember.
like West Virginia? Was it West Virginia?
I don't
I think it
remember.
was. Yeah, for some reason I feel like it was West Virginia. Don't hold me to that. I will definitely figure out that
Yeah.
later on. But DuPont, which we all know, gunpowder ammunition, and they did other things as well. So this is some interesting numbers. So prior to the war, 1910 to 1914, they made about $6 million a year. Okay. And once the war got into place in 1914 and 1918, their numbers increased. Okay. Their numbers increased to $65 million.
That's crazy.
65, crazy. And in today's inflation, that would be equivalent to $2 billion.
Wow.
Yes, equivalent to $2 billion off of maiming people, sending people to war, innocent lives, things of that sort. I also did another calculation with the American United Steel, and they
Mhm.
had a pretty decent amount of money that they made, but of course greed, and they wanted to make more money off of people's lives. But
Right,
their annual was $105 million pre-war.
right.
Okay, from 1914 during the war, it doubled to $240 million, which today's equivalent to $7 billion. Now I was flabbergasted,
Yeah,
flabbergasted at those numbers. That is amazing in a bad way.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
One of the numbers that stood out to me were the ships, how they were building ones that they couldn't even use, that, wasting the money.
Yes, yes, I did read that too about you guys definitely need to pick up this. We are reviewing, for those of you who are just hopping on, we are talking about War is a Racket by General Smedley Butler. And I think it would be really good to talk about his credentials as well. Do you want to take that on?
Yeah, sure. And now I don't know because our books are a little different. In the back, I had it. Like half of my book is like writing just about his like life.
Okay.
Um, so I read that with the different medals. Like, oh man, I can't remember. There was one medal that he got twice, and I believe there was only one other man who got that medal twice. But he was
Yes.
in the Marines for, I believe, 33 years and 4 months. So
Yes.
very, very qualified to talk about this.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's not like it's just some random Joe off the street that is just like,
Like,
oh, war is a racket. We shouldn't be making this much money off of war, or, things of that sort. He actually was in the trenches. And he had said that, General Smedley Butler had said that he didn't realize how deep of a racket and it was until like later on. And I was just like I said, just purely amazed at this whole entire book, and just his credentials proves that he has the right to say all the things that he's saying because he's seen it, he lived it, he was there. So I just really think that it was extremely, extremely interesting the things
yeah,
that he was talking about. And for those asking what are we talking about, we are talking about Where's a Racket, which is a book here that Liz and I have been reading together. It is a great book. As we know, politicians today have their hands deep into the war machine. Um, Lots and lots of money. We know lots of politicians that actually have their hands in the war machine and making money off of our lives, our friends, cousins, uncles, everyone, making
right.
money off of our lives. So this is a really good book to read and digest. I highly recommend it be in school, which you were homeschooled.
Yeah,
So
yes,
yes, so was I. I was homeschooled too. So this book is, I think, for all homeschoolers, or even if you're not even homeschooled, Christian school, public school, I think everybody should read this. It's very eye opening.
yes, and it's
So
very interesting too. It's a nice,
yes,
interesting book.
yes, yes, definitely. All right. What are some other things that you gleaned from this?
I did. I was thinking, so in the end when it's talking about Smedley Butler, there's this one part where I've heard before reading this book. I think it's like a more well-known part. It's like actually it's a summarization of something he wrote in a magazine in 1935. So I was thinking I could read that because it really points out what he's talking about.
Yes, definitely.
So this is him speaking. I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period, I spent most of my time as a high class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism. I helped make Mexico, and especially, I hope I'm saying this right, Tampico, safe for American oil interests in 1914. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank. I'm sorry, National City Bank boys to collect revenues in. I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. I helped purify Nicaragua for the International Banking House of Brown Brothers in 1902 to 1912. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for the American sugar interests in 1916. I helped make Honduras right for the American fruit companies in 1903. In China in 1927, I helped see to it that Standard Oil went on its way unmolested. Looking back on it, I might have given Al Capone a few hints. The best he could do was to operate his racket in 3 districts. I operated on 3 continents. So I know I've heard that before, but I thought it was really good.
Yes, definitely. So there you go. His credentials that he says that he's been all over. And it was so funny because I was reading, he was during the World War II era.
Hmm.
So, and that was pre my grandmother. My grandmother was born in the 40s, so that was the beginning of her time frame. Both of my granddaddy that passed away, he was born in 1930. So he's seen lots of things. And then my
Right.
other granddaddy who's still living, he was born in the 30s, like I think like 34, somewhere around there. So they both know, and they both, as we say, served in the military. One of my granddaddies, the one that passed away, he was in the Korean War. And growing up, I would ask him questions, but he wouldn't really tell me very much. He would kind of keep it hidden, which is very interesting. And I really wish that I knew why, and I was too young at the time to kind of pry, and I didn't know very much about what I think it was Eisenhower, right, that said the military industrial complex. Was it? Okay. I didn't know very much about the military industrial complex at that time. And at the time I was still kind of brainwashed, like, they're fighting for our freedom. They're fighting for our freedom, not knowing that they're actually fighting for corporations. I mean, think about all the wars
Right.
since their time, and then since the time that we were born, which I'm quite a bit older than
Yes.
you, but since our time, I mean, even like during the Iraq War, weapons of mass destruction, there's some there, and then come to find out that was all a lie, but they made a profit off of that, and then
Right.
telling people one thing, and then people believe it hook, line, and sinker, and they're just going at it and just thinking that they're fighting for our freedom when it all was a lie. So it's like history repeating itself over and over again with these war profiteers.
Yes. Yes. And it's crazy, you believe something your whole life and then you find out that it's not true. Or even you know, even if you know it, like we know that money is in war or that's why there's war, but to see it for yourself, like it really brings it out, stuff you didn't even know.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. There's actually a congressman here, where I live here in Florida, and he's actually wanting them to disclose a lot of their financial records and things of that sort. And there's also, I can't remember his name, another congressman. Well, I do know Matt Gates. He was actually wanting, them to not have profit or stocks and more because,
Right.
it's kind of a conflict of interest.
Definitely.
So, which I know what a conflict of interest is, but it's like, like for instance, let's use myself for an example. Say that I'm in the design business, which I do love design. So I would make it a law that every single time that there was a new house being built, that I would have to vote if that house is going to get design and get design work or get interior design. Well, obviously I'm going to do that because I'm in the business. I'm going to be making profit off of it. So that's the same thing with like Congress. Of course, if they have their hands in their pockets with the stocks and they have, an invested interest, conflict of interest, actually, of course they're going to say, yes, let's go, because they're going to be making a profit off of it. So that's one of the things that the book had Rick Smelly Butler had said on here. Was one of the things, the three top things. Did you read that? The three top things that he had said what would stop war?
Yeah, I was just looking at that because you were making me think of that.
Yeah.
Because the first thing you said was we must take the profit out of war, and that's so true. It'll stop the war so quick if there's no profit in it.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yes. So, and there's so many things, and a lot of one of the things that he had mentioned was that he mentioned the three things, but he says that those who are going to fight, that they should
Right.
actually vote whether it's worth it or not. So that I
Yeah,
like that because it's in their interest, and then I think that that's one way for them to actually dig deeper into the conflict if there is a conflict. Like say that they're going to fight in Timbuktu. Like, oh, we need to go to war in Timbuktu. Well, those who are they're sending to Timbuktu, they're going to say, okay, what is happening in Timbuktu for us to, get on our military fatigue and head over there? What is
right.
happening? You know, so I think that that was very smart. I never thought about that. I always just thought about the other angles, but I just thought
Right.
that was really, really good angle. Anything else that
Right.
you've gleaned?
Uh, no, I would just say the third one that he was saying and that we must limit our military forces to home defense purposes because, they always say defense, defense, but really they're going on the offense. And words
Exactly.
matter.
Yes, definitely. That is so very true. Yes, I like that he said, which I agree. The only reason why we wouldn't need our military or anybody fighting or anything of that sort is our borders to protect
Right.
the borders of the United States. There's no reason to be go. My grandmother says, my very southern grandmother, she says, there's no reason across the world and doing that kind of thing. When it and another thing he said is what is it to us that Russia is, communist, or this person, these countries fascism or whatever. What is that to us? We need to
Right.
protect our own borders. So that's the reason and
Exactly.
purpose for it. So I
Yeah.
really liked that point. So,
In our country instead of out of our borders.
yes, definitely, definitely. I really like that too. There, like I said, for all those who are just popping in, this book we are reviewing is Wars of Racket by General Smedley Butler, and it is a great book that you definitely should review. And all
Yes.
those in the chat, thank you and welcome. So, anything else that you've gleaned from it before we wrap up this review?
I don't think so. Definitely a must read, but yeah, it was very interesting and eye opening.
It is definitely. And like I said over and over again, this is definitely something that all people, even adults, even if you're out of school and you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you just are like starting to get enlightened about what our government is doing. One of the things that in the very back, it says that Smedley Butler did not just write this to be writing something. He wrote it to shock you and to get your attention. This you need to pay attention to what's going on. So the next headline that says we need to go to war, we need to do this, we need to do that, go to this place, you're going to start thinking, because that's what I do now. As soon as I hear
Right.
that there's some sort of enemy or whatever, um, I go straight to this book and say, where's the racket? Who's profiting? Who's making money from it? So that is a
Right.
good thing to keep in your mind in the future, as there's always a conflict. As we know right now, there is one with Iraq and with Ukraine and Russia and the whole Israeli thing, lots and
Mhm.
lots of things about that. So I'm very grateful that you joined me today, Liz.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. And thank you all for joining. Let us know what book we should review next time. We're going to try to make this a consistent thing. We both love reading books, and if I'm on the road quite a bit, so sometimes I do audio versions. So, and I've seen someone who put audiobook is onto YouTube. Yes, yes, that is true. So if you do not want the hard copy, you can actually listen to it on YouTube. It is great, great book. So, all right, thank you all for joining, and we'll see you all in the next live video, hopefully soon. Thanks.